Hi guys, Hunter here. So today, as promised before, I did do a little community post saying that we'd do a Kalibrgun cricket Tatical 45 against the Agt Vixen. It's more of a side-by-side, it's not really a versus as such, but I did get quite a lot of interest in these two particular guns, and a lot of people wondering which to go for, which to buy. Both brilliant guns, nothing wrong with either overall. So we're just doing a side-by-side, and hopefully it'll inform you guys better on making your decision as to whether you're going to buy one or the other, basically. So we'll run through some specs really quick, each of us, and then we'll go through what we like and dislike about the guns. And then later on we're going to run both guns through the chronograph using the same pellet, which will be QIS 8.4 grains, and then we'll do a 50-yard accuracy test at the end. And yeah, just sit and enjoy and get a cup of tea, because it's going to be a slightly longer video than usual, and hope you enjoy it. So obviously I've got Liam from West Yorkshire Best and Target.
Alright guys.
You can check his channel out as well. This video will be on there.
Bother it, shite.
This video will be on there on his channel, but it will have some bonus material, and I'll explain why at the end. He'll have some bonus material on his. So starting with mine then, obviously it's the Kalibrgun Cricket 2 Tactical 45 in sub 12. It's a 177 cal. Barrel is a 450mm choked CZ barrel. Gun length is approximately 28 inches. The weight is a hefty, I'd say 3.5 kilos. Now that doesn't feel super heavy. It just is slightly heavier than, well, it's heavier than Liam's for a start, but it's all at the back, so its shoulder's nice. A max fill pressure of 300 bar. You've got a 14 shot rotary style magazine, which is a little bit like the HW100. And it has a 2-stage adjustable trigger. The cocking lever is ambidextrous, so you can have it both sides, and an adjustable butt pad. And that's, I'm not going to go into the ridiculous specifications, but that's your overall specs, guys. So over to Liam to introduce his.
Right then guys, so as Kev's just touched on, Agt Vixen, UK spec sub 12. This is also 177 as well. A bit older than Kev's. I've had this maybe 9 months, something like that, maybe a little bit longer. I know Kev's is virtually brand new. Not that that makes any difference at all, but as Kev said, I'm going to repeat kind of the specs for this, similar to what he's got. So the barrel on this is a CZ unchoked, and it's a 250mm barrel, so tiny little barrel compared to that one. Weight is a very anorexic 2.2 kilograms, weighs virtually nothing. Max fill pressure, same as Kev's, 300 bar. Carbon fibre cylinder, which is a little bit smaller, so I'm guessing you're going to get quite a smaller shot count, although you still get a good shot count from this. Magazines. These come with 16 shot magazines, but I've opted to make little blanking slots for the last round, so I've got a last round hold open. So mine are actually 15 shot, but if you buy one of these, it's going to be a 16 shot mag. 2-stage trigger, very nice trigger, really nice trigger, as I'm sure the same on Kev's. Probably match grade triggers for this quality rifle. Silencer, it's a shrouded barrel, so it has got a built-in silencer, but it's quite raspy. They are renowned for having a bit of a bark on these guns. A lot of people buy an aftermarket shroud, which quiets them down quite a lot, and I'll probably go down that route eventually as well. Cocking lever, as Kev said, ambidextrous, you can move it to either side. I favour the right side because all my bolt action firearms are on the right, so I just do that just so everything's the same for me. The butt pad is adjustable. You can undo that bolt, and you can change the orientation slightly left and right, in and out a little bit, and also that goes up and down. So that, I'd say, is the specs all squared away, over and done with.
That's brilliant. And so we'll go through what we like and dislike, but just really quickly, the weight that we've given here, 3.5 kilo and 2.2 kilo, is unscoped. I do have the DNT Zulus on mine, and Liam has the DNT Thermnight.
Yep, just the base model of 225R.
Mine's the 5 to 20.
Yeah.
Magnification. So yeah, that's the weight unscoped basically. So there's quite a bit of difference in weight. and I suppose we'll probably touch on that first. So picking liams up is really nice and light, and I suppose if you're around the barns and the farms and stuff like that, I think is really good for standing shots, basically freestanding shots. Mine does shoulder really nice, and you can still take freestanding shots, but you do feel that little bit of extra weight. And I think what I like about mine the most is I do like the weight personally. Like Liam's is lighter, but I find that having an heavier gun, especially bench resting, it don't move about so much on the table and that. Whereas I felt like when I did use Liam's once, and that's probably just a matter of getting used to it. I felt like I could easily slide the gun about too much, and and you'd be off target, sort of thing. Yeah. So I feel like sometimes I'll be there, and then I'll just shift, and the gun will shift with me because it's so light. And I'm like I say, it's a case of getting used to that. So yeah, there's a big difference in the weight, and obviously it's personal preference. I like mine to be a little bit heavier. I'm sure. I mean, Liam's got a variety of guns, so he'll be used to all the different weights anyway. But I'm restricted to air rifles, where Liam has firearms. He's got rimfire, centerfire, so he's got all sorts. He'll be used to that. So the magazine, guys, is a very much Vierac-esque. It's very simple. I do love that design. The only problem with this, in this particular gun, is that when you load the magazine and you run empty, when you open the cocking lever, it has a tendency to fall out, for me personally, the left side. Now I have heard a few other people talk about that. You can buy a blanking kit for either side, so when you push the magazine in, it doesn't go any further, and hopefully that will solve that problem. I do have one, I haven't attached it yet. It's not a massive thing, but I suppose in the dark, in the barns, if you're wanting to swap out your magazine and you drop one, that can be a bit of a faff. So yeah, other than that, I do like the simplicity of this magazine. You can store them in this little slot under here. There's like a little pin to store both magazines, which actually go in this side here. But I don't know, I just don't trust it. I'd rather just keep them in my pocket, to be honest. Mine is a shrouded barrel, but it does have the added benefit of being able to put on an extra silencer that does get it whisper quiet. It's a little bit cold on cold days, basically. Holding it, there's not a lot that stores heat on the gun, so it can be cold to hold sometimes. But other than that, I mean, I love the gun still, guys. I don't really have any other issues with it. Just the magazine, supposedly, really, and yeah. Other than that, yeah, I absolutely love this gun, so I don't really have another fault. So, if there's anything you like or dislike about your gun, Liam?
Yeah, there's predominantly, I love it. There's very, very little that I can pick fault with this rifle. It's super light, really accurate, high shot count. Magazines are great, which I'll touch on in a minute as Kev has. Just build quality, everything, just superb bit of kit. You just feel like you're getting a quality bit of kit. As with Kevs, if you spend over a certain price point on a PCP, you're buying into the quality. You're not necessarily buying more into the accuracy or anything like that, but you're just buying more into the quality, and you know that you're going to have this for the next 15, 20 years. It's fine. Dislikes, obviously, a lack of a cheek piece. So the cheek weld on these is quite alien. It's quite uncomfortable. So that's not great. My only other real ball ache is the butt hook. It's quite uncomfortable, especially using it from a tripod. It just seems to dig into your shoulder at the worst spot, but from a bench it's fine, it's not too bad at all. But I do most of my press controlling from tripod, so that's a small gripe. You can get aftermarket buttstocks for them, like AR style ones with a lever that you can adjust the length of pull and all that, so that's a good feature. All relatively quite inexpensive as well. Probably the only other thing, as I mentioned earlier, is it's quite loud. I purposely went for the short version, or the Vixen standard, as it would be, because I wanted a compact gun. If I wanted a longer gun that I needed to stick a silencer on and stuff, I probably wouldn't have gone for this. So for me, I can kind of put up with the noise a bit because I like the overall style and the compactness of the gun. Magazines, like Kev's, you can store them in that bit. With this, I'm sure everyone's aware, you can get the magazine holder.
It gives it a bit of an AR style look.
Yeah, AR style looks really cool, but
I suppose if you were taking freestanding shots, it's nice to hold on to for a freestanding shot.
It's a handle as well. So, so if that is your style of shooting, or you're predominantly a bench rest shooter, that's fine. That's great. The only reason I don't keep that on there, guys, is because I shoot from a tripod. That's it. So I've got an additional quick release block that I put on there that I can clamp into. And also, if you move that forward, if you try to take like low angle shots for close up rats and stuff, that will it'll get into the tripod. So that's the only reason I don't keep it on. But I always keep it in my pocket like this because you can keep your magazines in it. As I was saying earlier, you probably won't pick that up, but I make little blanking plugs, so I've got a last round hold open. They work really well. Don't ask me to make them or sell them because they're a pain in the arse and nobody's going to want to pay 20 quid for that, like, you know. So, but really good. Somebody should do a 3D printed version of that because they're an amazing addition to these rifles. So yeah, other than that.
Yeah, and I think just quickly, like obviously you can see we've both got thermnights on, which are quite compact scopes anyway, but you do get quite a large Picatinny rail on top, so there's plenty of room there to mount a glass scope. And then obviously you've got the Picatinny underneath, but I prefer to bottle clamp mine because when you get a bipod in the middle here, sometimes you get quite a bit of wobble when you try to bench shoot, so I prefer to have it on the bottle clamp and Picatinny basically.
Absolutely.
It's redundant for me. I wouldn't really use that. Maybe an IR torch, but the bottle clamp and bipod is far superior for me to be on right on the end of your gun to get a better balance.
And on that, mate, that is one of my pet hates. It absolutely boils my piss when I see people with a high-end rifle and they've got, I'll put it on there, show you how ridiculous it looks.
Yeah.
So,
and there's a lot of wiggle then, isn't there? When you try to...
Me looking like it's white won't go on there now. But you get the idea. If that's on there, that just looks
I don't know how
stupid.
he's got a firearm certificate, guys.
Yeah,
If
like
you can't
shit,
mount the bipod.
Technical issue. But that looks like shit, doesn't it? And it's a well-known thing, like within precision rifle community. You want your bipod forward because the movement at the back is not amplified as much. If that's in the centre, the movement at the back is amplified more at the front. So that you need them as far forward as you can get, really.
And do we know if there's anything you can, other than getting a longer Picatinny, is anything you can mount to the shroud there, to that cage? Do we know if...
There is a bit of an aftermarket thing that people do. I think it's off the Eurogun, because this is a plastic handguard. And people often complain that if they rest that on a fence post or something like that, it can adjust the point of impact. Because it's touching the barrel in effect. So people get
you could move,
so
you could
people
move the barrel
get
potentially, slightly,
exactly, mate. So I think it costs about 120 quid, but you can get an aluminium version of the Eurogun version, and that's supposed to take a lot of that play out of it. But then you're going to have the additional M-lock slots, I believe they're called, underneath. So you could mount your bipod further forward off of an aluminium, but I wouldn't do it off a plastic one. But personally, I never rest that plastic version on anything, so I've never done that modification on this. I just don't see it's necessary for me.
I mean, the two, you know, different guns, but they have a lot of similarities, especially with that CZ barrel and the fill pressure and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, I think mine was around about $14.50 or something like that. I'm not quite sure what you paid for yours, Liam. They're in that range, aren't they?
Yeah, I think it's slightly cheaper. I think if you get one of these, because they're an additional, I think they're about maybe 50 or 60 quid, something like that. I forget now, but you're probably looking at, I'm going to say maybe 1350, 1400.
Yeah, quid. So pretty much similar prices, guys. And I don't think whichever one you purchased, you would be unhappy with either.
Absolutely.
I think, like everything, it's going to come down to personal preference. But as we know, as pest controllers, you can pay all you want for a gun, but if they're not accurate, it's not good to anyone, is it? It needs to be consistent, it needs to be accurate, and and that's what these two guns are, which we'll hope to display in the next bit of the video. So we're going to get a chronograph out, we're going to put them both over, like I said, QIS 8.4 grains, 1.77. We'll get them both over at chronograph, and then we'll have it out to 50 yards and see how we get on with that. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
755, 752, 751, 751, 747, 751, 747, 752, 749.
Last bullet.
700, 780, 785, 775, 778, 775, 775, 765, 772, 700,
So that's 9 shots.
73,
Last bullet.
778.
Okay guys, so we've just run both guns through the chronograph. Liam's is shooting a little low, which is a bit of an anomaly because
Yeah,
it
a
does
bit
generally
surprising.
shoot higher than that, and it is cold today, but that shouldn't be the reason, because mine was shooting roughly 11.5, but you'll see the video anyway of them both being over the
Yeah.
chronograph, so it's a little bit strange.
But at least it was consistent, which is more important.
Yeah, it was consistent. So what we see a lot of people do is run guns over chronographs and they go, oh, mine's shooting at 11.5 or 11.9, it's brilliant. But remember, that's only at the muzzle end. And so you remember a previous video I did where, and a community post I put out where I was asking where people feel comfortable taking shots. And part of the reason I asked that is because, interestingly, or what will be interesting, is what power we're getting at target end at 45, 50 yards, which is what we're going to do. We're going to send some pellets out on both guns, and we're going to find out exactly what it's carrying at the target end, and what it actually, what we need essentially to drop the rabbit, where it really matters, to be fair. And we don't often see that enough, so it's okay saying there's guns shooting 11.5 or near to 12 foot-pounds, but when you're shooting out at these distances at 50 yards, what actual power is it carrying when we drop a squarry? And I think that's a more interesting point, so we're going to try to show that today and see what sort of power levels both guns have at target end. Okay guys, cheers.
Do you want me to do this bit?
No, well, I'll pass it on to you. So guys, we've done the test, the chronograph test at 50 yards, and we've done it at target end. And as I said before, Liam's gun was shooting a little bit lower than usual, averaging 10.5, which is not usual for Liam. It's usually at least 11 something.
Maybe a trip to the
So it might be
the
a
shop,
trip back to the
possibly.
dealers or the shops for that and see what's going on there. But very interesting results, which I'm going to let Liam go into now. So 50 yards, QIS, 8.48 grains, pellets, and obviously you've seen on the previous section what foot-pounds are both giving out at muzzle end. So now we're going to go through target end. So over to you, Liam.
Right. So as you saw on the video there, we set up my chronograph and we recorded that. We picked up 5 shots for each gun using the same pellets as Kev said. Interestingly, right, so I'm not going to read out the individual pellet speeds because you've seen it, but for Kev's, bearing in mind Kev's was shooting
11.5 roughly.
yeah, 11.5 thereabouts, certainly a fair bit higher than mine at the muzzle. Downrange, average for 5 shots for Kev's was 6.03 foot-pounds of retained energy. So onto mine, this is where it gets interesting. So the average for mine was 569.8 feet per second, which equates to 6.12 foot-pounds of retained energy down there. So could you have guessed that? nearly a foot-pound less power at the muzzle, but slightly more down there. That makes
which is crazy, isn't it? I mean, we know it's cold and there's a few variables and stuff, but I think the big thing for me was, as me and Liam just discussed, is for us pest controllers, when you go out there and, like I said previously, you think you've got a gun and it's 11 point whatever foot pounds, 10 point whatever foot pounds, but when we're making these shots at 45, 50 yards, it's carrying nowhere near the same energy, and so it opens up that discussion of shot placement, especially in air guns. I suppose it's different for rimfire, centerfire, but in air guns it seems to be that the further out you go, that the shot placement is far more key than foot pounds. We've seen in previous videos I made a 63-yard shot, dropped a rabbit. I'd hate to think now what foot pounds it actually was dropping that rabbit, but it did do it, and it did achieve exactly what it would at 30 yards. And so guys, you're only really dealing with averaging 6 foot pounds, and I can't imagine there's too much variation on that from gun to gun or pellet to pellet. So out at 50 yards, 6 foot pounds, I think averaging is very interesting when you're taking down quarry.
Surprised me. I certainly didn't expect a foot pound less at the muzzle to equate to more down there.
Yeah. So it's strange, very strange. Interesting stuff. So finally, guys, we're going to move on to the 50-yard accuracy test. We're going to put a target out. There's a little bit of a breeze, but not enough to stop us grouping, so it might not be quite on the bullseye, but we will certainly get a good group from both guns. So we're going to take it in turns, film that and get it out to 50 yards, so hope you enjoy. 50-yard test. We're going to take a shot each and allow each other to not wobble the table. We take a shot and let's just see how we fare. I'll allow Liam to go first, as he's the guest. He can take the first shot.
No pressure.
Oh, bloody hell. Right.
Oh man.
That was nearly an expensive mistake. Why weren't you looking after it, Liam? You could see I was being all Hollywood and stuff and presenting.
In Hollywood. We're in trouble. Right, me first then.
Yeah. Off. Oh, pressure's on now, man. Kid.
Bullseye.
Had it on pellet there though, Liam.
It's all about the group, pal.
Whoa.
Whoa. Check you out. American sniper.
Nice.
Okay now. Check you out, pal. Awesome that. Wow.
Oof.
What we were saying about a flyer.
One flyer.
Always get them.
You always get them. Must have had a bent skirt.
Was that out your wardrobe like?
He's back on form.
Back on. Oh, that.
That's me out.
Yeah, me too.
I think yours were making a bit more noise at target end because you were hitting fresh board every time. And mine was going through the same hole. So I
It
think
was,
mine
mate,
seemed
yeah.
quieter at that end.
Yeah.
But I don't think anybody could argue with them results. Like,
No.
it is a bit breezy and it is cold.
I'd say yours is tidier, mate.
Only just.
Yeah, there's not much in it. We've both had one pretty bad flyer.
Yeah. And the
But-
rest are bang on.
Yeah. But I mean, it's just a case of if I'd spent a bit more time just fine tuning that.
Oh, the
0
excuses
point.
are coming now, guys. He's grabbing them from wherever he can.
It's the group.
It's the
group.
group.
You know what I mean? That's all it is. It's the group. Anyways.
Anyway, guys. So, in summary, really, they're just both brilliant guns. I just don't think you can. There's not much you can pull them apart. One's slightly heavier than the other, and I suppose, if I'm being honest, maybe a little bit of sound and weight is probably the biggest differences in this gun. In these guns, you just wouldn't be disappointed whichever one you went for. Again, it'll be down to personal preference, whether you think one looks better than the other for your style, whether you want one slightly heavier or not, and whether you want one where you can do a few, I suppose, put a muzzle on the end if you like or whatnot. But they're both pretty much as accurate as each other.
Yeah. I'd say so.
Yeah,
Say so.
at 50 yards, you can see the target work. I don't think you can moan at that. But just quickly, Liam's is an unchoked barrel and mine's choked, and Liam's going to put some slugs down his now, and apparently Vixen shoot really well with slugs in, so that's going to be some bonus material. If you want to see that, then jump over to Liam's channel, which is West Yorkshire Pest and Target, and you can see he's at the very end of the video. It will be on his, and he'll bang on the slugs for you and see what sort of foot pounds and accuracy we're going to get out of that. Okay, guys, I hope you've enjoyed it.
Obviously, one thing, guys, I've switched it to a glass scope.
Yeah.
That's purely because I didn't want to fight around with that DNT too much on the settings, and this is just easier to operate a little bit for me. So that's the only reason, really. But yeah, I'll do some slug shooting with it now because these are supposed to be really good for the slugs. And hope you enjoyed the video.
Yeah, I hope we've drawn some decent differences for you and similarities, and made you make a better, more informed decision. Take care, guys. Bye bye.
Cheers.